Thanks very much, Joe. I don't believe for a minute that the Late Late Show could gag you. Connor said on the Late Late, at the risk of mentioning it again, on the Late Late last Friday night, Connor said that Susie had been inspired always by Jim Larkin and James Connolly. And James Connolly believed very strongly in the link between the individual and the community, and the inherent dignity of that link. And he wrote in the Reconquest of Ireland that we are all in each other. And I'm not sure if I'm using the correct phrase, but that was the point that he was making, that we're all members of each other. And that seems to have been really the ideal that drove Susie and has culminated in all of us being here tonight. And at this point, I think it's about time that we heard from Conor McAleer.
What I'm going to talk about is just what hospice care meant to Susie and what her journey was to get there. Early on, she had operations in St. Luke's Hospital in Kilkenny, and she was lucky enough in that she was on a ward with just 3 other women, and during her stay there, those 3 other women died. Sonia mentioned at the start that 50% of all deaths in Kilkenny are in acute hospitals. And Susie knew what that meant exactly. And I did to an extent as well, because I was visiting Susie when her person, the woman in the bed next to her behind the curtain, was in the process of dying, and she died later that night. Her family were around her, and I certainly wouldn't have wished that for Susie. Now, in all the things that Susie has said about the health service, the main, I think, point she was making was about access to the services, because services that are there can be, in many cases, are excellent. And well, before Susie, some months before Susie went to the hospice, I suppose, she'd been living a fairly almost normal life for a period after the chemo had ended. So her condition actually improved for a while, until the end of May, when she took a trip to Lourdes, and that came up because someone had pulled out that was being organised from St. Luke's Hospital, and she had commented to a friend that she hoped that she wouldn't be struck down by taking this trip, being a non-religious person. As it happened, she did become ill in Lourdes and had to come back and go straight into hospital, and from there on down to Waterford for an operation. And I suppose, although she had to recover from the operation first, but that was in May, and she died in October. There were some good times in between, but it took a while to overcome. It was a 3rd operation in I think a year and a half, and it was more difficult to recover from. But the one thing she was worried, I suppose, about from her experience, I suppose, in St. Luke's, was not that she was going to die, because she said she wasn't really afraid of dying, but it was how she would die. I see Emmett Walls in the audience here, who provided palliative care for Susie in Waterford. And Emmett became a friend to both of us, and did an excellent job, certainly in talking Susie through a lot of different things and her anxieties and so on, as well as providing the drugs and so on that she needed. But she needed pretty much 24-hour care. She had a lot of difficulties in Waterford. I spent 3 weeks practically living in the room with her. The drugs caused her difficulties, the pain caused her difficulties. It was always trying to get a balance between the pain and the drugs. She never wanted to take too many drugs. She wanted to be alert. She wanted to understand what was going on. But we were hoping that she would be moved up to St. Luke's Hospital, and that wasn't to, as she approved somewhat, but that wasn't to happen. There was a vomiting bug going in St. Luke's, and eventually she came home, and we were very hopeful that that would be a big turning point for her to help her recovery. We had the home care coming in every day. However, it wasn't what we had hoped it to be. She had a hospital bed in the front room, and our front room is facing north. It's a room that we don't tend to use for casual everyday use. We end up in the kitchen, and she began to feel isolated. I couldn't be in the kitchen, in the front room with her all the time. The children wanted to, but found it difficult as well, because she wasn't her normal self. She was in pain and suffering and so on. And well, at a certain point, when things were really getting on top of her, she was in fact suicidal, and the home care team were doing everything that they could do, and she really appreciated what they did. But one of the home care team said to her that perhaps what she really needed was 2 weeks of respite in Harrods Cross. And that's what was intended, first of all, was just to have 2 weeks of respite. And in describing it to Susie immediately said, "Yes, how soon can I get in?" And that happened. They took her in quite quickly. And then I was still on holidays, summer holidays, and that was fine. We were able to go up. But then, of course, towards the end of the 2 weeks, we were planning for her to come home, and I was going to be at work, and we were trying to see what level of support could be organised. And she had improved an awful lot in the 2 weeks at the hospice, but towards the end, she had become not quite as stable as she had been when she earlier on, and it was decided that she couldn't do it, so she was going to stay in the hospice. Well, indefinitely at the time. We've heard from Liz about how the hospice really benefited her. I know that she really wanted to get in there from just the description of it, but I knew that the travel up to the hospice was difficult for her to take because of the pain. But I knew that even before the end of the day in the hospice, that she was a completely different person. She'd had visits from the various professionals who were working there. But to cap it off, she had lastly she had a visit from the complementary therapist, who gave her an impromptu 20-minute aromatherapy session, and she was just delighted. You know, she was just delighted. She knew that this was the place to be. Apart from everything else, it answered the question of her main fear of how would she die, and if you like, the terror of the possibility of not being confident that you would be without pain or so on. That was lifted from her. She gained that confidence. As was mentioned, she felt guilty about the fact that she was in Dublin, but we were so lucky that my family, I'm originally from Dublin, and that we were able to stay with my family in Dublin and be with her as often as we needed to be. And it was exactly the kind of time that we needed. To share with her. I just will finish by saying that I think I would like to see more people not being able to fail at that service in Kilkenny. I think it's very important that we do get a hospice in Kilkenny. Thank you.
We're going to open up the discussion now. We're going to talk about the medical side of hospice care and its provision, and we deferred discussing fundraising earlier, so I think we might combine that as well. I suppose the point should be made that what's needed is a partnership between the medical profession in Kilkenny and the community. I believe Sheila Toomey is going to get this session rolling.
Hello everyone, very privileged to be here. I didn't actually know Susie, so I do feel a slight bit of an imposter, to be honest, but I've learned a bit about her here this evening. I would know Emmett very well as well, and I think I'm here by virtue of my involvement in palliative and hospice care in the past, and by virtue of being involved in a programme called Hospice Friendly Hospitals in Ireland at the moment here. And just to pick up maybe on a few points, I suppose, made by Conor there in the last session, and it's very moving to hear what Conor said about Susie, and indeed the hospice in Harold's Cross, which I'll also be familiar with. But I suppose a little bit about my present work. We're looking at the, I suppose, physical environment and the whole environment that hospitals have to provide for care at the moment, particularly end-of-life care. And as we know, hospitals and hospital staff often do their best, but the infrastructure often isn't there to support end-of-life care in the way that we'd like it to. So there is a lack, particularly of, I suppose, single rooms, areas for families to be, and particularly those kind of issues. It's not really the staff don't want to do their best, because they absolutely do, but at the same time, often it's the infrastructure that lets us down, and the fact that maybe there isn't on call at the weekend for palliative care services, things like that, which are also very, very important. So it seems to me that what Susie was looking for, and thankfully what she got, was a very safe and comfortable place in hospice in Harold's Cross. And I suppose it really tells us that, sometimes and oftentimes people can be very well cared for in their own hospital, and often very well cared for in their own homes with the hospice home care teams in all the counties, thankfully, in Ireland. But there are gaps, as I said, within that service, and having worked in community-based palliative care and hospital-based palliative care, I think I'm in a good position to actually comment on that. So sometimes what people need is 24-hour care in a hospice situation where they feel they can have their dignity and their safety. And really that's all I wanted to say, and I feel that it's a very important thing to say. So thanks very much.